Here we go, Knicks fans. It is the KFTV Roundtable here on a Tuesday evening, April 23rd, 2024. My name is Jake Asman. I will be with you for the next 30 to 40 minutes as we talk all things New York Knicks. And joining the roundtable tonight is a man who I sat next to at Madison Square Garden for game one of the Knicks and the Sixers. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our guy, JD. JD, welcome aboard, my man.
Jake, man. Thank you for, being a part of this today. I'm excited about this show. And yes, definitely. We had a blast on Saturday. It was a fun game. And somehow, Jake, game two was even better.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, we got a lot to talk about. It. Congratulations to KFTV on reaching the 75,000 subscriber mark. So this roundtable is going to be special because we got two great guests, two surprise guests joining the roundtable. Joining us right now is George, the founder from Into the Nickverse. What's up, George? Welcome to the KFTV roundtable.
What's up, Jake? Thank you guys for having me. It's my I think it's my actual debut of my face on KFTV.
You look good. I mean, are we allowed to say what you're drinking off air to get ready for the show?
You know what? Just a little something.
A little something, something. That's right. A lot of Knicks fans still fired up, of course, after last night. And this next guest will fire everyone up, making her return to Knicks Fan TV. Ladies and gentlemen, Ashley Nicole Moss. Ashley, what's going on?
Hi, guys. Long time no see. I'm happy to be back. What's up?
That jacket is unbelievable.
You like it? Something light. It's been seeing a lot of action over the past 24 hours. So I'm continuing to wear it as we continue to win. This is my good luck charm. So I'm not changing it anytime soon.
I love it.
Take it off.
And let me add to the intros of these guys, too, because they're good pals of mine. George, Into the Nicksverse. You can check him out. His channel, over 8,000 subscribers. Very, very, very well versed in Knicks content. And of course, how can we forget Queen KFTV? You haven't seen her in I Am Athlete with Brandon Marshall. If you haven't seen her before in Sports Illustrated, Forbes 30 under 30. Give her flowers, give her respect. And now she's with CBS Sports Network. So Ashley, thank you for, coming back.
Thank you. It's like a homecoming. I'm very excited. We obviously got to get CPU on to do a true reunion, but I'm very excited. Listen, the Knicks are winning. It feels great to be a Knicks fan right now. This is the perfect time for me to make my return. So we are here and I'm excited. Let's do it.
So about 24 hours removed from, honestly, I've been to a lot of really cool sporting events in my life. I was lucky enough to have been in the Garden last night. That's up there with one of the greatest moments I've ever seen in my fandom of any of my teams. 24 hours removed. We'll start with you, Ashley. How are you feeling? Where are the emotions at now? 24 hours removed from one of the craziest Knick playoff wins in the history of the franchise.
Listen, insane. I woke up this morning with an extra pep in my step. I was tormenting all of the 76ers fans at CBS. I literally walked into the studio with this jacket on and said, "What's up, losers? Like, what's going on?" It's a great night. Obviously, the 76ers try to spoil it with their little grievance and all their little sound bites, and LeBron got to punch into. He got to worry about his own situation, but it's great. Listen, when we're talking about this team, I think the thing that is just the most exciting about it is, and we'll dive into it, I'm sure, but Jalen Brunson's not playing great and we're up 2-0. And I think that is just a testament to the grit, the willpower of this team. And it's just a great time to be a Knicks fan. And look, the series is not over. There's a lot that can go down. We got to go back to Philly. We got two there. Philly's not
over.
Place to play. But being up 2-0 and defending home court and handling business at MSG is exactly what we needed to do. And now we got to go handle business on the road. So I feel good right now.
George, you're saying it's over.
It's over.
Get the brooms out. Knicks winning the next two in Philly.
I think there'll be a split maybe in Philly, and then we'll close it out at MSG Game 5. I mean, that sounds like. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while. It's all unfolding pretty much the way we've been talking about it. So did you guys see that a doctor reviewed Embiid's eye? He's got one eye won't blink, and when he fell on the floor, my son and I were looking at it. I was like, what's going on? His eye won't blink. Did some research. He might also have some nerve damage too.
Oh,
So he is there. Yeah. Dr. Bruce Sutter or something. I think that's the guy. He's on the YouTube. Yeah. He just uploaded a video about it.
my
Oh,
mom had
that's a
actually
concern.
asked me about his eye, and
Okay.
I thought, like, I'm like, I don't know. I've never like stared at Joel Embiid's face long enough to like really like notice the difference. I always thought he had like a little bit of a lazy eye and a little bit of like a puffy eye, if you will, like a little bag under his eye. So I really didn't even peep the difference. But I guess now in hindsight, the post game conference or the post game interview with him in the locker room where he's covering his face
Mhm.
might be due to light sensitivity, and that's why he's like. But then again, he's playing in the garden, bright lights there. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I mean, I wish him well with the eye.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah. I'm concerned about that.
With
Yeah.
that being said, staying with Embiid, JD, 24 hours removed from his comments after the game, where Embiid basically said, "We're the better team. We're going to win the series." Every Knick fan hears that and says, "Bring it on. Here we go." Your reaction to those comments from Joel Embiid 24 hours later?
Listen, I thought it was interesting. I think that's more of an emotional response from a guy that he understands he's going back to Philly. And although that's home, it's also a hostile environment to their own team. That team, they go down 6-0, 8-2 to start. Philly fans are not going to be happy with the pressure being down 0-2 and looking at potentially being down 0-3. So him knowing that, I think that's from his end. I guess this is how he wants to sell it, trying to galvanize the troops. And also, I think it's frustration. It's delusion. You can't, as I mentioned last night, you don't want to accept it. You don't want to deny it, especially if he's paying any attention to the national media. A lot, and it's also interesting. I would like to, hear Ashley and George's thoughts on that too, because it connects. Where there's this narrative, this air out there that Philly is just like a better, more quote unquote talented team. And I'm not sure about that. And I think the identity of the Knicks sometimes, at least this roster, sometimes gets kind of misconfused with, they're not talented. And it's because of, the whole Tom Thibodeau gritty team, hustle, offensive rebounding. And, I remember the first team. There's no Reggie Bullocks here. There's no Alfred Paytons here. There's no Alec Burks here. So although the identity is similar in that this team plays hard, I think there's actual talent and skill on this roster. And obviously Embiid believes it. He believes they're the better team. And I think because he thinks talent all of a sudden is going to make them a better team than the Knicks. And listen, like I said, look at history. When players say things like that after they're down in a series, it's a lot of frustration and they don't want to accept the fact that Embiid knows I just came to Madison Square Garden and my number 2 guy dropped 30 points and we still did not come out of New York with one victory. And that can be frustrating.
Yeah, even with Jalen Brunson, of course, as has already been said, not playing like Jalen Brunson to this point, shooting 29% combined through the first 2 games. George, your thoughts on the Embiid comments, and obviously with the 2-minute report coming out today, every Sixer fan saying, "See, we were robbed. The officiating was against us." I would not expect the Knicks to get any calls on Thursday in a hostile road environment in Game 3. That all being said, Embiid could say what he wants. What'd you make of his comments, George?
It's what a leader tries to do. He's trying to fill that role, trying to, embolden his team, have them believe in themselves. Because right now, I mean, after that loss, that is a shattered team. So what are you going to say? You're not going to, there's still 4 more games technically to go. He's not going to say, "Oh yeah, well, we tried." No, he's going to try to rally the troops and maybe he does believe that they are a better team. Maybe he believes that, though the evidence proves otherwise. Absolutely 100%. And this New York Knicks team is a better team than the Sixers team. They play for each other. Where, I mean, what did they do? They put up like almost 69 points between him and Maxey, and everyone else did nothing. And a lot, yeah, Maxey, it's great what he can do. He can get to the hoop and everything, but he should also try to set other guys up a little more. Get other guys cooking earlier so they can really be there for you in the fourth quarter in crunch time. And so I have no beef at all with what Embiid said. It's, we've heard things like this before in the past. And I do think he believes it. So it's not like he's being disingenuous.
It seemingly motivates those comments of the Knicks too. Ashley, your thoughts weigh in on the Embiid comments and then officiating going forward. Game 3, what are you expecting?
I agree. I mean, listen, I think that, what is he supposed to say, right? Like, oh, they're better than us. And this is, he's not going to say that. Now, more talented as a whole, I don't know if I agree with that. Can you say that Joel Embiid is probably the bigger star, the more talented, when we talk about the number one guy? Okay, we can argue that back and forth. If you want to go Tyrese Maxey as number 2, okay, we can argue that back and forth. But when we go down the line, 3 through 9, 3 through 10, no, the Knicks are more talented. They're deeper. They have more weapons than the 76ers do. So it's a lopsided argument, first and foremost. I think that if you're going to talk about bigger names, sure, Joel Embiid's the reigning MVP. He's a superstar in this league. Tyrese Maxey just won MIP. He's a bigger name. I don't know if that equates talent, though. And if you're looking at the totality of a team, I believe the Knicks are more talented. They may not have the glitz and glamour of certain names and notoriety attached to those names, but that doesn't equal talent. And it's interesting to me. It's always funny to me when a guy or a team or a coach says, we're the more talented team. Well, you're down 0-2. So if you were more talented, you would be able to supersede all the things that have been thrown your way, and your talent would override that, and you wouldn't be losing the series. You would be winning it, or you would have been able to tie it. So none of that means anything to me. He's doing what he's supposed to do, but I take that with a grain of salt because the more talented team overall is winning this series right now. Simple as that.
Great point. And with that said, I mean, you can make a case the Knicks have proven they're more talented than most people gave them credit for because their best player, a guy who's going to finish top 5 in MVP voting beyond an all NBA team. Once again, Jalen Brunson has not been Jalen Brunson yet, which is a perfect jumping off point to the next part of the conversation, as we're, of course, in the middle of the KFTV Roundtable here presented by Underdog Fantasy. Shout out to all the Knicks fans out there. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Brunson not playing like Jalen Brunson. So, George, we'll start with you on this one. Any concern at all with Brunson, or do you look at it how I look at it? Hey, this team's up 2-0, and Jalen Brunson really, for the most part, hasn't been like the guy we expect him to be in this series.
If I see one more game like this, then I will become concerned. I was surprised that he struggled in game 2, honestly. I was expecting him to have a bounce back game, to be perfectly honest. And the fact that he didn't, if I was to tell you guys that Brunson would be shooting 29.1% overall and 16.7% from the 3, and OG is also shooting 16.7% from 3, and the Knicks would be up 2-0. That you would never believe me if I said that to you before the series started. But guys like Josh Hart shooting 53.3% from 3, Miles shooting 50%, Dante 46.2%, and even Bojan, he's 41.7%. So the others, like Ashley was pointing out, we have a deeper team. We have quality, as they talk about in European soccer, quality up and down the lineup, guys that can pop at any moment. And that is something that I'm stunned that Brunson did struggle in that second game. I don't think, again, I had the same attitude going into game 2, so I'm hoping that he doesn't. But I feel like there's, and I brought it up, we talked about it with JD, there's something going on with his left hand. I saw him at one point when he shot, he was like flicking it, and he's missing bunnies that he makes all the time. And Oubre is not, Kawhi Leonard. I mean, let's be honest, guys. They put length on him many times before, and he's cooked them, night in, night out. Something else is going on with him, and hopefully, maybe the extra day's rest, maybe gets a little more treatment, and maybe he figures out where the opportunities are going to be for him. And he's got to get the ball out before they collapse on him quickly. And they're doing that kind of like a roving, it's like a roving triangle like zone on him, where they're not totally on him right away, except for when Oubre is covering him. And I think that also frustrates him because he can't, because the minute he tries to cut in, they close the gaps, and then he's got to pull back around. He's got to try and figure it out again, and he's over dribbling. Shot clock's winding down, and then we're getting a desperate possession. But the beautiful thing is we have guys like Josh Hart hitting crazy 3-pointers, right now.
I mean, it's crazy, right? Because you look at the overall of Jalen Brunson's performance from the past 2 games, 16 for 55 from the field, 2 from 12 from the 3. He shot 27% on Monday night, which is unheard of from him. Now, in part, you can relate some of that to the fact of not having Julius Randle puts a bigger target on his back, right? Because you don't have that additional scorer that you can kick that ball out to relieve some of the pressure from you and kind of allow you to move freely through the court and get more open looks and not have so much pressure. Josh Hart, though, has been a godsend. I mean, we're talking about somebody who shot 31% in the regular season and didn't make more than three-pointers in a single game, and he's hit 4 in both of these games. So it's been amazing to see what he has been able to do. My only concern is you get hot sometimes, and you can get hot at home when you're familiar with the court and how it feels. But on the road, those threes don't tend to fall as well and as frequently as they do at home, which is why you need Jalen Brunson to kind of snap out of whatever situation that he's dealing with, especially on the road. Because I don't know if you get that same type of performance from Josh Hart, because he's not normally a 3-point shooter like that. That's not his game. I'm not worried too much about Dante. I'm not too worried about some of the other guys. OG, his defense travels with him. Josh is going to be the big X factor, or question mark rather, because it's not characteristic of his DNA as a player. So to rely on that because Jalen Brunson is so uncharacteristic of who he is as a player makes me a little bit weary. I just need Jalen Brunson, even if his 3 ball's not falling, I need those bunnies that he's supposed to make, those floaters, the simple things like mid-range game that he's just completely just bouncing off the rim. I need to just hit those. If you just give me those, I think we'll be in a good spot. But he needs to give us more than what he's been able to do so far in this series for sure.
You could tell when he hit that 3 at the end in the crazy comeback. He was pointing to the sky like, finally a shot came in. So maybe he'll start to find his shot, because as exciting as it is that the Knicks are up 2-0, it easily could be 2-2 going back to New York if Jalen Brunson doesn't play better. Because there's that saying that Jeff Van Gundy always says, your star players got to be your star players home or away, but your role players play better at home. Well, the Knicks are going to need Jalen Brunson to be their star player to get at least one of these 2 in Philly, JD. And then you feel like, hey, if you go back 3-1 to MSG, you're in the complete driver's seat. You feel like you're advancing to the second round.
That's why this road trip is going to be very important for him to now show up during this road trip, because as you mentioned, you think this game 3, it's probably going to get the best, game 2, but now game 3 with the home crowd behind the Sixers, you're probably going to get the best punch yet from Philadelphia. They're going to give you everything they have because they know it's a must win. So even if you go down 2-1, now you're heading into game 4, and everyone is just saying, just win this one, and we're starting from scratch. Now we're going to the Garden. The pressure's on. Brunson is struggling. So now you notice how the psychology starts to change. The mental starts to change. That's why Brunson has to play well game 3 and game 4. And listen, I don't know if it's this. I don't know if it's that. I do know that over his last 10 games against the Sixers, he's shooting 40% overall and 29% from 3. So there's obviously something with this matchup that is just not working, at least from an efficiency standpoint, because he has not struggled like that versus anybody else. So, and I think when you look at the games, I mentioned it last night, the instruction from Nick Nurse has been clear, and it's not to fall for any of Jalen Brunson's pump fakes. They're staying at his hip, they're being physical, and they're not jumping for anything. And what's happening is Brunson is getting frustrated, and he's trying to bait for fouls, especially when he's driving to the basket, trying to get the floater game up. He's jumping into the defender. He's looking for the contact, and he has to transfer what was working in the regular season, which they call much more often, doesn't transfer to the playoffs. So he has to change his game a little bit in terms of attacking earlier in the shot clock. I believe when he's resetting and he's letting the shot clock wind down, it's actually helping the Sixers defense. So if he makes that adjustment where he's going early and he's getting into the first move, You don't wait to the second or third juke on your crossover moves. Go in on the first move. He can surprise the Sixers defense. And again, it is very important because I think this is why maybe the Sixers feel they're a better team, because although we're looking at it from a perspective of, well, we're 2-0 with Brunson struggling, the way they're looking at it is if this continues, how can we not come back and win this series? How can you tell me that Josh Hart is going to continue to score 19 points in the first half like he did last night? How can you tell me that Josh Hart is going to make 4 threes per game at the rate that he's making it? Like, this is crazy what he's doing, actually. Like, he's become, like, if this was the NBA Finals, he would be in the lead for MVP award.
It happens all the time. It happens all the time.
Too, like you can see it, like the shot selection's not great. He's forcing a lot of these shots. He's not really getting into his stance for some of these shots. He's just kind of taking whatever he thinks that is open and available instead of making more clear, concise shots. And it's so, again, uncharacteristic of who he is as a player. His decision making is usually always on point, and it's just been complete opposite. And I don't know if that's because he thinks, quantity over quality, in the sense of like, I'm cold, the more that the more that I shoot, the more likely something's going to fall. And maybe that something will set a domino effect that kind of gets me out of this rut. But it hardly ever works that way. So I would like to see him stop forcing certain shots and just take better shots, which I haven't seen him do in this series yet.
He was definitely doing that in the fourth quarter, late too. I think he tripped and he turned the ball over. He was just trying to do too much. And when he finds those little seams and bounce passes to a cutter, that's where he becomes really impactful. And that's, makes and gets everyone else involved. And then it makes other teams, well, they're going to double him no matter what, until he proves that doubling him is going to cost the opponent, the Sixers. They're going to keep doing it. So he's just going to have to live with that. And I like what JD was saying, maybe don't go to your, second and third different move. Try to just, put the floater up right away when you have that space. Because sometimes he thinks about it and then the guy comes from behind him. He takes too much time. He gets past Tyrese, comes up against the wall by the hoop, and then Tyrese comes from behind and blocked him. I think at least twice he did it in the last game. And then other times he could probably just feel him, and that throws off his shot.
And to quickly to Ashley's point, Ashley made a good point about Julius Randle. If you notice within the first 2 games, Jalen Brunson's spot up looks have vanished. He's not getting them. I mean, the best look he got was when they called a timeout there and Tibbs tried to create a shot in the corner where they ran a play and he shot over Tobias Harris and missed. That they had to call a timeout and run a play like that in order for him to get a spot up look. Like, he has not.
And it was a tough look too.
And it was a tough look, and that has vanished because even when Randall was struggling there, notice how he was still demanding double teams. And that's the thing with Randall, that other opposing coaches, even when Randall is not shooting well from the floor, he still gets the respect of a double team. And when he's distributing the ball, it still allows Brunson to feed off that type of action. And that not being available, and now it's in the playoffs where everyone, now you're focusing on one player for a full series. You see how it makes it much more difficult to operate, especially when you're facing a team that has Tobias Harris 6'8", 6'9", Batum 6'8", 6'9", and Kelly Oubre at 6'7". It's not an easy task.
It's the
KFTV. All that said,
go ahead, George.
Sorry. All that said, right? There's a reason why there are 4 Knicks shooting over 40% from 3 and 2 of them 50% or more. And it's because they're wide open, because they're double and triple teaming Jalen. And finally, when the ball gets out, the guy's wide open. Josh Hart's wide open. So yeah, maybe the shooting percentages will drop a little bit, as time goes on. But if an NBA pro is wide open, they're going to hit that shot. They're going to hit that shot, and we're going to make them pay for that.
Is they're dominating the glass. So the Knicks are getting a ton of second and third opportunities, as we saw in the most critical moment of the game last night with the Hartenstein rebound out to DiVincenzo. So that matters too. The Knicks are the best team.
That's the best. That's the best offensive rebound I think I've ever seen. Honestly, in terms of what he did to get it. Number one, And then as he's falling down, bounce. I couldn't even see it from the angle. I was watching the ESPN one or the TNT one. He bounced past it to OG. I mean, how he did that was just unbelievable. That is the greatest offensive rebound in Knicks history, I think.
Shout out to all the Knicks fans tuned in right now. It's the KFTV Roundtable. Jake Asman, George from Into the Knicksverse, Ashley Nicole Moss from CBS Sports, JD, my man from Game One at the Garden from, of course, KFTV, as we were hanging out with you tonight. Shout out to CP for putting this together. And of course, congratulations to the Knicks Fan TV channel for reaching 75,000 subscribers.
That's right. Congratulations.
Hit that like button.
That's fantastic.
Show your support. A couple super chats to get caught up on, and we can take some calls as well at 657-383-1509, or of course, fans can call in on the KFTV Discord. Della Music writes in, salutes to the panel. Welcome back, Ashley. Missed your perspectives. To Philly, keep talking. League, pray we don't steal the chip. The real Joe Montana super chatted. Knicks, baby, we coming to Philly with the chopped cheese. Della back for more. No, nothing wrong with Brunson. They playing D. They saw in World Games. I saw this coming. Expect more of tall person on him to obscure his view and shot. Julius, who the glass is full. We hear. And Will Hooper writes in, Josh Hart's wrist injury must have fixed his shooting. So shout out to all the super chats. And of course, we're presented tonight by Underdog Fantasy. New customers get a $100 deposit bonus when you use promo code KFTV. Get your higher and lowers in for Knicks Sixers game number 3 Thursday night. So let's take some calls, guys. A lot of people want in on the conversation here. So let me pull up who we have on the Discord who's calling in. And let's start it off with Jay from East New York. Jay, unmute your mic. You're up first on the KFTV Roundtable.
Yo. Can you hear me pretty good?
We got you, Jay.
Yep.
Okay. So it's really tough for me to hear you guys. Shout out to you, Jake. Shout out to JD. Shout out to George. Shout out to Ashley Nicole Morse. So I have a question for you guys. I want you guys to just touch on Jalen Brunson a little bit more because, you know, the fan base, like on Knicks Twitter, they seem to feel like, you know, JB's performance for me, I feel like personally, let me say that. I feel like whether he's at his normal rate or lesser than, I feel like as long as productive, he's going to be fun. This series is going to be contingent on a guy making big plays. And I like what I've seen from the Villanova Knicks. Josh Hart, he showed up for game 1 and game 2. Dante came to the party for game 2 for sure. He showed up. And I feel like going on the road, going into Philly, playing in an arena where, you know, Jalen Brunson and those boys have had big games, I think that that's going to be the motivation for him. I also do feel like, you know, he's forcing shots a little bit, but I think that he kind of has to because, you know, a lot of the fan base agrees that he has to be that guy to draw the gravity so that way other guys could get off, you know. But like Ash said, he just got to make the right plays at the right time. You know, he can facilitate. It's just, you know, sometimes he gets a little bit tunnel vision and it seems like he just want to take the shot. But I feel like as long as Jalen Brunson can give us solid numbers, he doesn't have to give us 30 points a night. I don't think that this series is contingent on that. As long as he can be effective and be a floor general and, you know, hit those timely buckets like he did late in the fourth for us. Shout out to Dante DiVincenzo for hitting a hell of a game-winning 3. The Knicks are pretty much going to the second round, in my opinion. I don't think that Philly has enough of the others. If you look at their pardon me, if you look at their bench, they only have Nicholas Batum. He played 33 minutes last game. I don't see that really lasting or proving any type of, you know, like effectiveness, you know, when we got guys like Deuce and Bogey coming in off the bench. So I just want to hear you guys' thoughts on Jalen Brunson's performance so far. And I feel like he's going to have a big game 3 and the bench play. I think that that's what's crucial for us. The fact that the role players are able to put up numbers and, you know, actually give us something. Philly seems to be like in shambles right now. It's not too many guys outside of Embiid and Maxey that's really giving them anything.
Jay, thank you for the call. Ash, we'll start with you. Your thoughts on what he had to say there.
Yeah, listen, I think that Jalen Brunson's not going to be able to be 100% him, right? And we kind of, dissected this a little bit earlier. With Julius Randle being out, it puts a bigger target on his back. You don't have that consistent scorer on the floor with you. Yes, Josh Hart has been fantastic. Dante DiVincenzo does what he does. But talking about Josh Hart specifically, it's uncharacteristic for him to hit that many threes. So there is a chance that in this series, more likely on the road, he's going to go cold when it comes to that. That again just puts more pressure on Jalen Brunson. You don't need him to be Jalen Brunson, 50-point Jalen Brunson like you get in the regular season. That's not what you need from him. What you need from him is more than what he's giving you. He can't shoot 27% a night. That's not how you win this series, and that's definitely not how you win on the road. I simply need him. If the three ball's not falling, that's okay. I need you to flourish in the mid-range. I need you to go ahead and get your points in the paint. I need you to go ahead and be able to hit those easy layups, all of which he hasn't been able to do. If he can just do those things, I'll take an 80% Brunson over the version that I'm getting right now, because I think 80% of him is still enough where everybody else can fill in the remaining gaps. But what he's doing now is too reliant on uncharacteristic playing styles of his teammates, specifically, again, Josh Hart, that there's no longevity in it. So if he can just give us some of what he normally does, I think that, like I said, everyone else can fill in the remaining percentage and you can still pull out a win. Listen, Joel Embiid, he can't run. You can see that. He's having a hard time going up and down the court. His lateral is just non-existent. He's got a brace on his leg. He can barely see. I mean, he's hanging on by a thread. You got to keep up the speed. You got to make him run. You got to shift side to side. You do all of those things. Jalen Brunson giving us 85% of who he is as a player versus the regular season is still enough to win this series on the road.
Going off of that point, George, specifically with attacking Embiid, because I think Ashley makes a great point. The longer the series goes, I don't know if Embiid's body is capable of making it through a longer series here. So, especially, if the Knicks could somehow win on Thursday and they're up 3-0, I think that completely demoralizes the Sixers to that point, and you could be looking at a legitimate sweep opportunity.
Yeah.
So, if you really have such a unique opportunity here, George, to step on their throat potentially, because Embiid's not right. I mean, the point about his eye is spot on. There's a reason why he's not looking at the camera. We saw him not really be able to rebound late in this game. Yeah, he got his points, but defensively, he's not the guy that's one of the best defenders in the league. Talk about that and the opportunity the Knicks have on Thursday to attack Embiid.
That is a big, big point right now, because that's actually what Josh Hart changed. In game one, he was hesitant to attack Embiid and a lot of other guys, even OG. Embiid is a monster down low. So, but then once Josh, I don't know, I guess Thibs got in his face or something. He finally said, just go at him. And it worked, and I loved Deuce when even Deuce went out. I mean, hit that left-handed high off the backboard. That was beautiful.
Oh, the guard goes crazy every time he touches the ball now.
Yeah.
Sick.
That is it's a sad thing, because you don't ever like to see any player obviously get injured and have to leave a series or whatever, and especially a great player like Embiid is. But I don't see him making it through the series, honestly. I mean, it seems like in every play he's like on the verge of going down. But he's also changed his approach as well. That first quarter and a half of game one, he was trying to play like his, first 39 games, Joel Embiid, the MVP, Joel Embiid, the historic season he was having. He tried to play like that, and it was working. And then Mitch came in and started frustrating him. And he Joel said, I'm going to get a little creative. And he got desperate. He bounced the ball, alley-ooped it to himself off the backboard, and tried to dunk for the first time since he'd come back from injury. And look what happened. Since then, he's pulled back. He's taken a different approach. We should definitely attack him. We should force him to put the ball on the floor constantly. Don't give him looks. He's a great shooter. Don't give him that space at all. And then you saw the change. You saw Isaiah Hartenstein change that up. He committed a stupid foul when he did it, right with the shot clock about to end. But I love that approach, and Mitch has been doing it. So I think we have, even though Joe got his points, I think we have a good strategy at dealing with him, but we definitely need to attack him more defensively. Absolutely. Unfortunately, Mitch, it'd be nice to see Mitch just take him off the dribble, and make Joel chase him, and he did it. He's done it once, right? All season, Joel, and Isaiah used to do it once in a while. And he started, I think he did it. Did he do it in game 2? Not sure, but he had a great game too. But definitely that's something we should try to do. Get Joel isolated on like Isaiah and make Isaiah try to punish him, because eventually he's going to end up on the bench and having to ice that knee or whatever, because he does not look good. I'm telling you, he does not look good. I feel bad for him, and I feel bad to say we have to pick on him, but we have to. That's just game strategy. If he's going to be out there, that's what the Knicks have to do. They have to attack him. And I think that's the mindset they're going to have, because that's what's worked. And even Dante started attacking the hoop. So that's what's going to happen. Brunson, he definitely has to change it up, his approach. One thing I got to say, he has gotten – so Jalen Brunson in the regular season was averaging 2.5 3-point attempts off the catch and shoot. What do you think he's averaging in the playoffs?
2.5 in this. You said 2.5
Zero.
in the season?
3.5.
Yeah.
3.5 in a season.
Yeah,
Zero.
One play he's had it, so I would say 0.
Exactly. Yeah, 0. So his teammates have to do a better job of getting him looks as well. So that's something. There's and they give credit to Nick Nurse, and the Sixers defense. They've taken those things away from us, because Brunson is one of the best catch and shoot 3-point shooters in the game. He averages 44.5% catch and shoot. And he hasn't had one single one. And similar thing with his pull-up shooting is way off. During the regular season, pull-up shooting, 4.3, he averaged 4.3 attempts per game, 37.4% off the pull-up, which is nice. In the playoffs, he's down at 18.2%. But he's averaging more. So he's doing more pull-up threes than he does in the regular season, and he's getting no catch and shoots. That's the area that will make Jalen's life much easier, because him trying to work in the paint constantly, it's exhausting, and he's constantly on the floor. But if you get him some easier looks from the 3-point line, he'll start feeling better about himself. And then they'll have to close out on him stronger. Maybe he can break through those seams and get into the teeth of the defense like he normally does, and finally finish on those bunnies that we are so used to seeing him do.
KFTV Roundtable will welcome in. If you're just tuning in, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, as this channel just hit, once again, 75,000 subscribers. Just an incredible number. Cannot say that enough. JD, let's talk about the officiating a little more here, because I think specifically when it comes to Embiid, you said it earlier, this is going to be the game the Sixers give it their all. It's the de facto must win. You can't go down 3-0. They're at home. I would just expect, as a Knicks fan, the Knicks are going to have a tough time getting any critical call after the NBA admitted, at least according to them in their 2-minute report, that there were some calls late in the game that should have went Philadelphia's way. So to me, it's human nature. These refs are going to see that 2-minute report. I know it's in a different crew, and they're going to probably, human nature, favor Philly anything borderline. So
Fortunately,
it's going to be tough for the Knicks to get calls, Ashley. So, JD, with you specifically when it comes to the officiating on Thursday, talk to the Knicks fan. What are you expecting here?
I expect Joel Embiid to have 20 free throws in the first quarter. Phil Jackson used to be a master at that, in terms of working the refs through the media, using cryptic messages and ways to, kind of influence the Lakers next, or Bulls when he coached Chicago, their next playoff game, because he used to do that in the playoffs. And this is the Sixers, basically from player to coach, doing their best to bring more awareness and attention, especially now in a social media era where everything is reposted and you have all these outlets that have engagement, and the NBA follows that, because this is the new way of communication in today's time. So more than any other time, any criticism of the game is well versed around social media. So I think there will be some influence on it for game 3. And as long as the Sixers get aggressive against the Knicks, man, Hartenstein could be in foul trouble early. You might see a couple of, Josh Hart, who is also aggressive sometimes. He can get in a little bit of foul trouble. And you may see that early. It'll calm down throughout the game. But I think the rest definitely will make a statement. Also connected with that is, which is very interesting, has never been done before. The New York Knicks have publicly posted the, I guess, analytics and report cards and grades and all this other stuff of the referees, of the crews for the first 2 games. Something that, people on the Sixers side are complaining about, because their thinking is the Knicks are doing this to influence the crews. They're doing this so that, this is private information, is what they're saying. And I guess the way it's posted, it's actually, I'm not sure if this is how if the NBA provides this to the team, or this is the Knicks, using their own analytics department and just creating their own graph and posting it out there, because maybe there's nothing against, obviously there's nothing against it, because they did it for game 1 and NBA didn't say anything. And for game 2, it was tweeted out again. So I think that's very interesting that the Knicks are doing that.
I got a feeling Adam Silver's going to step in on that eventually. They're going to put a stop to that. I mean, you can't give your recon on refs. That's
what I'm saying.
That's dangerous.
I just think also after the All-Star break, it's just become so, like, the microscope on officiating has just become so egregious that it's diluting the product. Like, look, in the course of 4 quarters, you're gonna miss some calls. And if we really want to dissect game 1 and game 2 of this series, and if we want to expand it and start talking about other series, there are calls that have been made on both sides that were horrendous. It just so happens that the call that they're referring to and they're crying about is the one that didn't go the way they wanted it to, and that's the reason that they're going to go ahead and pinpoint for them losing this game. There are a bunch of other factors as to why you lost this game. The same thing with LeBron and AD crying about the officiating in the Nuggets Lakers game. You blew a 20-point lead. Okay, you can go ahead and blame whatever you want to. The fact of the matter is you blew a 20-point lead, and it wouldn't have come down to the officiating if you didn't blow that lead. When we're talking about the officiating, for me, yes, obviously in a playoff game and playoff series, you want that officiating a little bit more tight knit. You want it fairly called on both sides of the ball, which it's not and has not been, if we really want to have that conversation. But more importantly, these calls that are happening and then being discussed aren't, in my opinion, game deciding. There are other factors that have been deciding the outcome of this game before you even got to that call. I go back to the call where we filed the grievance against the Houston Rockets game, or the 76ers game with Kelly Oubre, and I forgot what team that they were playing. That was a game deciding call because it came down to the wire, and the only reason of that outcome was because the officiating was horrendous and made a bad call. When we're talking about these games and this particular game, the 76ers did not lose that game because of some pull or some alleged pull on Jalen Brunson on Tyrese Maxey's jersey. That's not what happened. Like, let's not go ahead and make excuses and justifications as to why you lost this game. And let's not do that for why you lost game 1. If you really want to have that conversation, we can do it, but it's not going to work in your favor. So I wish Philly would have a little bit more of this like Philly attitude that they pride themselves on, and stop crying and focus on game 3 and 4 at home.
Game 3 is a must win, obviously, for the Sixers, and they're going to come at you. And I think the refs are going to be on their side.
And that's why this is going to be,
because NBA is not going to want this to end in 4. I know it sounds conspiratorial, but let me tell you, it plays a factor where they can just say, hey, be a little tighter with the whistle, be a little looser with the whistle. They don't say anything specific. and they know if they're tighter with the whistle, that benefits the Sixers.
Well, just anything borderline is going to go their way because they're at
Exactly.
home. Well, and what happened in game 2 with the 2-minute report. So human nature, any 50-50 call is going to be more 75-25. So expect that, Knicks fans. You'll be less angry. But who are we kidding? I've seen the comments on all these post games. I know what's coming if the Knicks were to somehow lose this game on Thursday. But guys, that's going to do it for our KFTV roundtable tonight. Once again, George, JD, the return of Ashley Nicole Moss to KFTV. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to CP for putting it together. And before we get out of here, a reminder that there is a Knicks watch party this Thursday night for game 3 of the Knicks and the Sixers in Philly. Sucker Punch Sports Bar on 3rd Ave in New York City. You can RSVP at the KFTV website for the watch party. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be wild. The pictures and the videos from the first 2 watch parties have already been awesome. So definitely check that out. And once again, thanks to CP of the franchise for putting this together. Of course, Knicks, Sixers, Thursday night in Philly. This channel is going to have plenty of content from now until then and then all series long. Once again, for JD, for George, for Ashley, this is Jake Asman saying so long, have a great night, and let's go Knicks.
Go.
Catch us with a dog in the fight for whoever should play the yard.
Jacket's fire,
Saint Nick to Saint Bernard.
Yeah.
Stand up for the legacy of the city.
Gang, Mitchell and Ness.